Hey everyone, so today we have Tam here. This is her second time on the Birthing Goddess podcast and also now YouTube channel. So welcome, Tam.
Thank you.
And she's got little Florence here and I've got little Zola here, so if we need a breastfeed or whatnot, don't mind us. But first of all, Tam, can you explain a little bit about yourself? So who is in your family, where you live, and what you do for work?
Yeah, so my name's Tamara. I'm 35 years old and I live with my husband Chris and my little 2.5-year-old Xavier and now Florence in Tallebudgera.
Oh.
Yeah, so we live on a nice block out there amongst the trees and the bush and the wallabies and the koalas, and yeah, we absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I have a background in teaching and I also have a little side hustle like photography and videography. So yeah, it's on hold at the moment now with this little addition.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it's good to do that for fun because I have a lot of fun doing it. So
Absolutely.
oh,
She's so cute. So obviously Florence is your second baba. Was she a planned pregnancy?
yeah, so both of our pregnancies were planned. I was hoping to fall pregnant with her a lot sooner, but it took us probably 5 months to fall pregnant, which yeah, was longer than the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it was good. Like once after a few months of, I guess, not falling pregnant, I got in touch with my naturopath again, and yeah, and it was basically she just, you know, put me on a few supplements and made her special pregnancy tonic.
Oh, nice.
And I swear it was the next month I fell pregnant. So
Wow.
obviously I was lacking and deficient in a few important things. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that we were able to fall pregnant naturally again. So with her help. So yeah, that was really
so nice.
really
And
good.
how did you find out?
Yeah, so obviously because we were trying to fall pregnant, I was onto my, you know, my menstrual cycle, and
Yeah.
I think I was only 1 day late, and I had my stash of pregnancy tests.
Really?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I did the test. I was just by myself in the toilet, and my husband Chris was working from home at the time,
Yeah, nice.
which was really nice. So I got the test and gave it to Xavier, and then I got Xavier to show it to Chris while he was working at his desk. I think it was on a Zoom meeting.
Amazing.
And it was great. I got the reaction actually. He kind of looked at it and went, "Yay!" And then he went, "Fuck."
Did he actually?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, so, whew,
yeah. As in like a good woohoo.
Yeah.
Oh,
And like, oh, okay,
so
we're gonna have
beautiful.
2 kids now, and
Yeah.
we've got to,
Wow.
got to provide for those kiddies. So
Yes.
yeah, but yeah, we're both very happy about it. So
Oh,
yeah.
beautiful. And so for Florence, who did you go with as your care provider?
Yeah, so with Xavier's birth, we went to John Flynn Hospital.
Yeah.
And you know, went through a private obstetrician, and like I had such a great birth and a great experience. But yeah, this time I guess it gave me the confidence to think of having a home birth, and since having Xavier and meeting other mums and bubs.
Yeah.
So such as yourself, I discovered that home birthing, I guess, wasn't as uncommon as I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I met so many mums who had had amazing home births, and yeah, so that definitely planted a seed for me to consider that. And I looked into some private midwives, so I wanted to go down the home birthing path with having a private midwife.
Yeah.
And my naturopath actually recommended one. Her business name is Mother Seed, and her name's Melina Ranga.
Yeah, cool. She was actually in the top. She's been voted for one of the best midwives. I looked on Instagram today, and I was just like, oh, that rings a bell.
Really?
So she must be very good. Yeah.
Yeah, so good. And again, I'm sure like all private midwives have just to be a private midwife, you need a lot of experience and years working as a midwife. And like she went through all of her experience, and we felt pretty reassured that we'd be in safe hands. And like it was a big decision to make though. Like my husband Chris, he's always supportive of me no matter what, but I guess I was concerned that he wasn't wanting to have a home birth. And of course, you know, there's thoughts of also maybe your family and friends not supporting you as well. But I really felt a desire to be selfish in this pregnancy.
Selfish.
I mean, I don't know what the right word for it is. Like, I guess I knew what I wanted, and it was almost like I wasn't going to let anyone persuade me otherwise.
That's awesome.
So I don't know, I need to find another word for selfish.
Maybe you had a knowing that's what you needed to do for this birth, you know? So, And it was great. And I kind of, maybe I was a bit demanding in the sense, but I kind of sat Chris down and I was like, now, I don't really care what you think, but I really want to have a home birth. But of course, I would have cared what he thought. But, But he was like, yeah, cool. All right, I'll do whatever you want. Like, I'll support you 100%. Yeah. Wow, straight off the bat.
Yep. So I definitely found a keeper with Chris. I knew that, obviously, but it's just so great to have a supportive husband. And, you know, like I told my family and... like they were supportive as well, which was really important. And it was like with Melina, like just with the way that she works, I thought this was kind of like reassuring for anyone who's maybe uncertain about having a home birth. She encouraged me to like register with a local hospital. So I registered with Gold Coast University Hospital.
Okay.
You know, in case anything was to go wrong or if there were any complications.
Yeah.
And also if, you know, if maybe even late in pregnancy we discovered that, you know, I wanted to change my mind and have a hospital birth. And it was just good to have myself, you know, in their books and have all my, my medical history and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
With them, you know, in case I did end up in an emergency situation and rock up to the hospital and they just had all my information there. So, you know, that was reassuring for myself, but also Chris, you know, having a plan B. So that was just important for us. And that's how Melina kind of works with her clients. So
that's awesome.
Kind of out of respect for the hospital as well, in case anything happened. Yeah, so that was kind of good to think about as well.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And who was in your birth team? So you had Melina. Who else did you have?
Yeah, so with a private midwife with a home birth, they kind of have, I guess, is it a legal requirement? Maybe not, because, you know.
I think it is. To have that second midwife.
Yeah, so her name was Jane, and it was great. We got to meet her before the birth as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so she, you know, did one of my antenatal visits, which worked out really well because it was just so good. Like, I knew every person in my birth space on the day, and that, you know, I didn't have that the first time around, and it was a lucky dip of who I got as a midwife, and fortunately she was amazing. Yeah. But not... You know, that's not the case for everyone. No. So that to me was really important, to have the continuity of care and know everyone in my birth space. Yep. So, and I was, that just worked out. I was really happy with that. Yeah. Yeah, so also on my birth team, like I would include my photographer, Laura.
Absolutely,
Yeah, and she was just so supportive from day one. Yeah. So her business name is Rewild Her. I just can't explain how, you know, you're not just a client to her, I think. Like, she really gets involved in your pregnancy and supports you. And on the day, you know, she does a good job of being a fly on the wall, but also she does step in and give you words of encouragement when she feels she needs to. Wow. You know, but it's like, it's just the right amount. Yeah. She's not too invasive, but she can read the room well. So.
Yeah, very intuitive. And
And of course my husband Chris, like, he was my number one support. And he just, Oh, I mean, even with my first birth, he was amazing, like, for a first time support father.
Yeah.
But he, again, just, he just stepped up and he just stayed calm, and he just was my calm throughout the whole thing. Yeah.
Beautiful. And you had your mum and dad there too this time?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
So I really wanted, my mum and dad to be present for the birth.
Yeah.
And also, I guess, we needed them there anyway to
of course.
look after Xavier, my 2.5-year-old.
Yes.
Yeah. And ideally as well, I did want my brother and his family to be present for the birth, and Xavier, but they weren't for the actual birth.
Is it because your birth went so quick, or they just happened to miss the birth, or?
Yeah, it's not that it went so quick. Oh, they were at like a kid's birthday party.
Oh, yes.
And I remember, I think Gemma told me, my sister-in-law, she was like, Marshall, we've got to leave now. Tomorrow's. She's like, Cheryl's texted me and said she's going to have
Brisbane
the baby.
or on the Gold Coast?
I was on the Gold Coast,
Nice.
So they just missed it by 5 minutes.
Oh.
But again, like we've spoken about that, I think that was just meant to be.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Yeah, and they got to meet her like basically straight after.
Yeah, I could see it in the video. It's so beautiful. Like,
And it's so great because I had dreams, like I had visions of the birth.
Wow.
And it was in our master bedroom, which did happen. And there were people, not that I kind of see their faces in the dreams, but there were people present, and my mum and dad were definitely there.
Aww.
And it's so cool because my sister-in-law Gemma, she told me before Florence was born, like without me even mentioning those dreams, she said, I had a dream last night that you had, the baby in your house and there were people crowded around. And I was like, that's so cool. And that's exactly how it played out.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Aww.
So I just love that, it just, those visions and dreams,
So amazing. So vivid during pregnancy too, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. And I didn't really have that in my first birth. So I don't know if my, how do you describe it?
Your intuition has heightened since, becoming a mum, sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. And,
I do think, I do have a bit of faith in God. I do think that they were visions from God. And, I know people interpret that differently. But I knew that God was on my side. I knew that I just had to trust in Him and it would happen.
Yeah.
And it did, so it's just such a cool feeling, of something that you envision, it happens away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So beautiful.
Yeah.
And what did you do for your birth prep for this, birth of Florence?
Yeah, so I definitely, with my first birth, I did the calm birth course.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah. And, I can't speak highly enough of it. Just used all those techniques and they worked for me.
Yeah, and it would have been good for Chris as well to know.
Yeah, it really involves the partner.
Yeah.
And prepares them for what's to come, which is so important too. Yeah. So I did a refresher course with the same instructor. Her name's Joyce. And she's a midwife at John Flynn, but she runs, you don't have to be birthing at John Flynn to do her course.
Okay. Did she come to you or did you go to her?
No, she held it at the John Flynn Hospital.
Oh, nice.
So, myself. It was only Chris and I and one other couple doing the refresher.
Oh, nice.
So it was both of our second baby. And so that was just really good just to kind of get mentally ready for it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was good. I did, soon after doing that course, I started the meditations that they provide.
Mm-hmm.
So I just did them every second or third night leading up to the birth, which just so powerful, really mentally prepared me for the birth. And they say practice makes permanent. They really practice the breathing techniques in these meditations.
Nice.
So that was good to get that have that refresher again. Yeah, so I did the calm birth refresher course, and
anything else did you do differently for this?
I can't really think of anything right now.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Oh, yeah. How could I forget? So, Fatima, you encouraged me to have a blessing way,
Yes, yeah.
which, like involves a beautiful women's circle and those closest to you to, to provide you love and support for your upcoming, not only the birth, but also postpartum.
Yeah.
So that was just, I had it the same day as my baby shower, and I had quite an intimate circle. I had my mum there, my friend Amy, my friend Janine, and my birth photographer Laura, and yourself, Fatima, and you also facilitated it and did an amazing job. And I also had 2 other friends dear to me that, live away, so... Fatima, you did a great job of involving them in the ceremony as well. So that, that was something that I hadn't experienced before. And it was just, I was very hesitant to do it at first.
I remember.
I know, I was like, I don't want to make it about me.
Are you going to do it?
I just felt a bit weird having something about myself, but I tell you what, I do not regret it one bit. And it wasn't what I thought it was, I just thought it was kind of people just telling you how good you were and all that stuff. And I was a bit, it's a bit la-di-da, but it absolutely was not. It was genuine love and support for me, a mother-to-be. And I just came out of it feeling on such a high.
That's
and just
awesome.
So ready to give birth. I was like, I literally have no fear now.
That's so cool.
The fear had removed, and I knew that you girls had my back and were there all the way with me. So that was really special. And one of my favourite parts of that was you got us to have the...
Oh, the red thread.
The red thread.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were on a circle, had the red thread, and then we, had these bands on until I gave birth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was so cool. And like the morning of giving birth, I texted all you guys.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And then the moment to cut the band off was when she arrived safely.
Yes.
So I also got to share that news with you.
Yeah.
And that was so cool to have, when I was in early labour, texting you guys, just to get those texts back. Like, even though I was kind of in the middle of contractions, like, it's like, you can do this, I'm so excited. And, like, that made me really excited.
Yeah. Just knowing that other people, were supporting you from afar. And and I think, did we do the candle thing in the, where everyone lights the candle as well?
Yes, so that was a candle involved as well.
And says a prayer. I think that's really powerful because prayer is so powerful when you set your intention and then think about someone and send that love and support. Like, it just goes such a long way, and they feel it too. Like, I feel that.
Yes.
Definitely.
And even though it was just a picture, some of you guys sent me a photo of your candle that was lit and said, the candle's lit. And like, even that is powerful. Like, even though it's through a screen, I was just like, this is so cool. Like, you're all thinking of me and you're on this journey with me. So
I was so excited when I saw that. I'm like, I went to Corey and I was like, Tam's having her baby soon. I was so excited. And then the whole day just thinking about it, and it's really cool. So let's talk about the birth. So when did you go into labour? How many weeks?
I was 39 weeks on the dot.
Wow.
And which was really cool because with Xavier I had him at 38 and 5 days. Amazing. So it was literally the next day.
Wow.
And it was great because I just had your blessing way the day before. So it was just like, really, that was pretty special, I think, to have that and get in that
zone again.
It was awesome.
And then you went out too, didn't you? For dinner or something?
Yeah, so I went out with some school friends for dinner that night. Nice. And it was so funny, like, because it was weird. My body wasn't telling me that it was going to happen soon, but just mentally I was like, this is around the same time as Xavier. And
did you have any bloody show or any signs?
No, absolutely no indication at all.
Yeah.
And But because I did go out to dinner that night, I did, like, Chris was home with Xavier.
Yep.
And I did just kind of, I called my mum to say, like, hey, if anything does happen, can you come and pick me up?
Okay.
If I do go into labour while I'm out to dinner. So she was, like, on standby.
Oh, no.
And poor mum, she would have been, like, checking her phone every minute. Yeah. So obviously she didn't have to come and pick me up.
Yeah.
But that next morning at 4 a.m, I had just the, every 10 minutes, just some slight contractions.
Oh, so it started
very mild.
Did it wake you up?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did take note it was 4 a.m.
Yeah.
But then I still managed to sleep. And then 6 a.m, the whole kind of household woke up, and we had Xavier's swimming lesson that day. And, we both enjoy going along to that. So, yeah, like, we started getting ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of, like, getting a bit more intense. But I was kind of still in denial in a way. I'm like, oh, maybe it's just Braxton Hicks. And then I'm like, oh, I'll still come to swimming. And Chris is like, no. He's like, I think you're in labour tomorrow. And I'm like, no, I'm fine.
Oh, so you're in denial.
Yeah. and I'm like, oh, okay, well, you guys still go to swimming and I'll just stay here.
Yeah, no.
Chris is like, well, I'm not going to leave you by yourself. And I'm like, okay, I'll call Mum and she can come over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Mum came over. They left for swimming. And, Mum was great. I was just on the blow-up gym ball, just kind of, like, on my knees, just leaning over and just chatting in between contractions.
Yeah, nice.
And Mum was, like, cleaning up the house because, just mentally I just
Yeah.
needed the house to be nice and clean. And just tidy. Yeah. So, and then Chris came back from swimming and, Mum was able to take Xavier away and play with him. And I think by this time it was like 10:30. Just to go backwards, I did notify my midwife and Laura, the birth photographer. Yeah. When I was like about 6 a.m, just to say I think I'm in early labour.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, or like there's signs of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was in touch with Melina. Hey. I was in touch with Melina, just texting like throughout the morning just to keep her updated.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and then, but I don't know, my contractions were just a bit all over the place. Like, it obviously hadn't found a rhythm yet. And it was, 10 minutes, but then it was 5 minutes, and then 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, I was still kind of in denial in a sense, because I'm like, to me, they had to be in a rhythm and go from 10 to 8 to 7, but no, it obviously doesn't work that way.
No.
Yeah, but things started, they started to kind of get every 5 minutes, and that's when, Melina was like, all right, I'm going to come in now.
Nice.
So that was at about like 11:30 that happened. Yeah, so she kind of arrived at midday.
Mm-hmm.
By then, I'm a big fan of the double hip squeeze, so that's when I got Chris to squeeze my hips together, just relieves a bit of pain. So yeah, at around 11:30, like things were kind of heating up a bit and I needed him to do that.
Where were you experiencing the pain, like the front or the back of the body? Do you remember?
Even with the first birth, I never really got much back pain. It was all in the, just down there and in the front.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't know, and maybe that's the positioning of the baby, I guess.
Yeah.
Is it? Because I know that...
It would be interesting to find out.
Yeah, because I know if it's back to back, that does put a lot of pressure on the women's back.
Okay,
but she must have been, I don't know the technical term, it's like anterior or posterior. Anterior
is the front, I think,
Yeah, so I think her back must have been...
In the right position, yeah.
Yeah. So... I just want to, like, back paddle a bit. So, she was actually breech up until about 37 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, so that was just a bit of an issue. Like, once, especially getting late in pregnancy, I personally probably wouldn't have had a home birth if she was breech.
Okay.
Just because I know women do and it's not an issue and that's great, but I was just a bit hesitant. So I was definitely trying to do those exercises, the spinning baby exercises every night to turn her. And one night she did turn and I felt it because she actually had hiccups.
Yeah.
And the hiccups were up the top. And I quickly Googled it, like hiccups up the top of the belly, and it means that their, their chest and their head is up. And I knew that her butt was down, and I was like, damn it, Chris, she's still got her bum down and she's still breech. And this was at 37 weeks, like getting close to...
Wow.
And then within 20 minutes, like still hiccup, I could feel the hiccups moving down.
Oh my God.
And I was like, Chris, the hiccups are down there now.
Did you do anything? Like at that time, or were you just sitting there?
Yeah, well, I think early that night I had done the spinning babies.
Okay, yeah.
So,
nice.
yeah, in the last couple of weeks I was.
Wow.
But I was just sitting there and it was just hiccup. And then, Googled it just to make sure, and it said if the hiccups are down, it means that they're head down. And I was like,
Did you feel it? Like her actually moving physically?
It was weird. It wasn't completely obvious to me. It was more the hiccups was...
Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
And then I rung Melina, and I'm like, I think she's got her head down now. I felt it. And then she came the next day to double check, feel around. And she's like, yeah, I think you're right. Like, I can feel her head down there.
Wow.
So that was just a great,
just to know she was in position.
Yes. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
But jumping back to the birth now.
So it was about 11:30 when, as it Melina arrived, you were saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the other midwife? Did the backup, or not backup, but the second midwife come as well?
No, so Melina was just there at the start, and yeah, I don't know why I mentioned the breech thing, but it doesn't matter.
No, it's fascinating.
Yeah, and yeah, so Chris was kind of doing that relief in between contractions. Like, okay, so during contractions, I was leaning over the bed, and Chris was squeezing my hips. But in between, like, just to reserve my energy, and I was like already so exhausted, and I'm like, oh man, how much longer do I have to go with this?
Yeah.
But I was laying on the bed, in between the contractions, so, yeah, that was just gave me like a bit of a rest. Yeah, but because I was leaning on the one side, like I was sleeping on my side in between contractions, so I got to the point where we were starting to fill up the tub, so I wanted to have a water birth again.
Yes. And that's in your room, isn't it?
The tub. So cool. So we have a little spa bath in our master bedroom.
Beautiful.
And, but yeah, so with my first birth, my midwife, who I just loved and trusted completely, like she told me, she didn't recommend me to go in the bath until I was at least 6 centimetres dilated, because she believes that it can slow down the labour.
Yeah.
And I know that I've actually spoken to a few other midwives and they had never heard of that before, and so, each to their own, but that worked for me the first time, and I wanted to do that again this time.
Yeah, for sure.
So when Melina did arrive, because Melina was like, oh, do you want to hop in the tub now? And I'm like, oh, I really want you to check my dilation.
Yeah.
And she was kind of like, oh, we don't have to. And I'm like, no, it is important to me, that you check that. I just needed to know that, I wasn't going to slow down the labour, or, not that could definitely happen, but I just needed to know.
Yeah.
So, she checked it, and, and she said I was 7 centimetres. So, again, it was just that, yes, I'm ready. We're going to see the baby soon.
Yeah, nice.
And so I hopped in the tub, and, the tub was the perfect temperature, and...
Chris nailed it.
He did. He did such a good job. So that was when things really started...
Getting intense.
Really getting intense now. So, I think I was in the tub probably maybe an hour. So probably from 1 o'clock or 1:30ish, I was probably in the tub.
Yeah, with Chris.
With Chris. And it was amazing. I'm just comparing it to the first birth, it just definitely felt more intense. The contractions were more intense, the pushing was more stage, and it was amazing, my body, I felt like with the first birth, I had to kind of consciously, it was voluntarily happening, but I had to kind of give it that extra push. Whereas this time, whoa, it was I didn't even have to do anything. I just had to kind of...
Just be there.
It was just pushing itself. Like she was pushing it up. My body was pushing her out. Like
that's so cool.
it was amazing. Yeah. And so her head came out and it was there. It felt like it was there for an eternity, but I think it was only 1 minute or something.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I could feel her body wiggling around on the inside.
Wow.
And that's, I think at that point I kind of said, because I was leaning over the tub, I couldn't see anything. And I was like, what's going on? What's happening? Like, is she, what's happening? I mean, not she, but so, and then it was just that final push, which, again, I felt like I didn't really have to do much.
Amazing.
And she just came out.
And who called her?
So Chris did catch her. Well, I think it was kind of Melina and Chris.
Oh.
There was a bit of, I think they were trying to tell me to kind of reposition myself.
Okay.
As soon as she came out.
She can come through.
But I kind of, because it was just, it felt like it happened so quick and I just didn't really know what was going on. I wasn't able to process what they said properly.
Yeah.
So, they managed to, it was a bit of an awkward exit.
Yeah.
But they managed to, and I kind of had to just flip my leg over and then they kind of put her on me.
Aww.
Yeah, so,
And then did you sit down, like lean back after that?
Yes,
Yeah.
I leaned back after that. So, ideally though, I would have loved to have been leaning back for her birth, but, I tried it and it just was not comfortable for me at that time.
Yeah.
So, it just happened the way it did. And
that's so nice.
and so Chris and Melina kind of called her together. Well, I know Chris's job was, he's just like, I just didn't want her head to hit the bottom of the bathtub. So,
of course.
Yeah, because I think our bath wasn't as deep as probably a hospital one.
Yeah.
But it still worked out fine, and her little head didn't hit the bottom. So good job, Chris. And then they placed her on my chest, and and then it was just so overwhelming. And it was just that, it's the biggest relief in the world and joy at the same time.
And to have both your mum and dad there, that's pretty special.
Yeah, that's
for them
right.
to witness like a natural birth at home. Like, how did your dad feel? Because I saw him just crying on the video, you know. Yeah,
Dad was just, he was like bawling. So, and it was, really nice. And that was just what I wanted. I don't know, and I still don't know why that was so important to me, but having mum and dad, that was really special. Yeah. And then I kind of had her up like this, and I said, okay, we're going to find out if it's a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
And then pull the leg open, and it's a girl, Yeah, so that was really special as well.
So cool. Yeah. And then what about the placenta? How long did that take after she was born?
Yeah, so I wanted the placenta to birth naturally.
Yeah.
So with Xavier, I had the injection, and that came out within, as soon as I got the injection. Like, I gave it half an hour, but it came out quickly. But with her, it took an hour. Yeah. Yeah, so I was quite happy with that. It is like quite an uncomfortable feeling.
Did you get the after birth pains, like start contracting again?
Yes.
Was that in the water, or where did you birth the placenta?
No, so I got out of the tub soon after she was born. And then I hopped on my bed and I just birthed the placenta on the bed. Yeah. So that was, I think that felt just like the right thing to do. See the placenta, it's like that annoying, I mean, it's the most amazing organism, isn't it? But it was that annoying feeling of there's just one more little thing to do.
Like you've just gone through this whole birthing a baby, and you're like, I have to give birth again? Like, what the hell?
But it was nice that during that time I had her on my chest, and she started sucking like straight away.
Wow.
So I was hoping that would encourage the placenta to come out, and and that did. And then so I got one of my kind of shots I wanted to get was to have the placenta like in a bowl and have her feeding on me. So they were really beautiful shots to get.
That's so nice.
yeah, and then we waited until the cord was white to cut it. So
Yeah.
Chris got to cut it again. Yeah, but then just after giving birth to placenta, yeah, Melina just checked my uterus to see if my uterus was going down. And yeah, it wasn't. So it was still really high, which can be quite dangerous, like in terms of hemorrhaging and stuff like that. So yeah, so they just said, all right, just go in the shower, you know, try and do a wee, because that apparently kind of encourages things to come out.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, I was in the shower with what felt like forever. I was just like mentally, I was going wee, and nothing was coming out. I just couldn't get. Anyway, that was just a weird challenge that I had.
Yeah.
And eventually I did wee, but then I got back on the bed again. She felt the uterus again, and it just hadn't really budged. So yeah, so she just said, and I actually don't know if there's a term for what, or of the procedure, a name for the procedure that they did. But they just said, oh, we're just worried there's a few, you know, blood clots up there that we need to get out to encourage the uterus to come down. Yeah, so Jane, the midwife, the second midwife, she was pushing on my stomach while Melina was literally up there kind of scraping some blood clots out.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Did she get any out?
yeah, she got
okay.
quite a lot out.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of all...
Okay.
And that was actually quite painful.
Yeah.
And, yeah, again, it was just something like, oh, I just gave birth and it's not something I want to do. But, you know, I did say to them, I'm like, oh, so should I go to the hospital now or what should I do?
Yeah.
But Melina said, you know what, they're going to do exactly the same thing at the hospital.
Okay.
So may as well, let's just do it now.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah.
Got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was good. And after they did that, they checked the uterus and things were starting to shrink down back to normal. So yeah, so I'm thankful that, you know, they knew to do that and everything. So yeah, and the next like few days I definitely passed some pretty big blood clots. So but yeah, that was all pretty normal and good to get that out.
And you just checked in with your midwife, or she would have come anyway.
Yeah, she did 6 weeks of the postpartum checkups with the baby and me. So yeah, so that was good. And I stopped bleeding after 3 weeks after giving birth. So
yeah, oh, that's
that was
good.
like, that felt good. It definitely was less than the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was good, like in terms of like I didn't tear or anything. It was all pretty, like that was the only, I guess, complication that happened, but it was kind of easily solved.
At least it was at home and your own comfort, you know, of your own home. And
yeah. And that's good. So after that was all done, during Florence's birth, Xavier was actually asleep. So she arrived at 2:32.
Wow.
Which I like that. No, sorry, it was 2:34. So it was like 2:34. So it's like easy to remember. And yeah, so he soon woke up from his nap and and he got to meet her, which was really nice. I have heard it's nice to meet a sibling in a bassinet. But I kind of just forgot about all of that.
That's
and he met her, but it was fine, and he got to have a little hold, and
beautiful.
Yeah, it was really special.
That's so nice.
And then
And then for your postpartum period, in the days after the birth, did you do anything different for this time than your first birth?
Yeah, so second time around, it was great. I just didn't feel the pressure of just, having people over, getting them to meet the baby, you know, as soon as they're born, or there was no rush for that, and there was, it's like I just didn't have the pressure on myself for that to happen. Like we really got to just enjoy that time together, that family time together. Like, you know, from the moment she was born, we were at home, and it was just really nice and like so settling for us all, I think. And what I did differently as well is with the blessing weigh and my baby shower. Laura, the birth photographer, she had got a little pack called the Village for Mama, and it's where they have all of these beautiful recipes that you can make for a new mum. Yeah, so like some of my friends, you included, made some beautiful meals for me. And, you know, some friends made meals that weren't for the pack, but it was still amazing, like beautiful lasagnas, and I was so grateful. And it was just beautiful, like I had friends, and there was just, from these friends, from you and the friends who did this, there was no expectation for them to come and see me or meet the baby. You guys just dropped off the meals and just texted me and said, hey, your meal's here. And I think most of them were like right at that 5 o'clock mark too, which is dinner time, and like these beautiful fresh meals cooked. And it was just so lovely, like what a beautiful idea. And just a way to support not only me, but support my husband, who doesn't have to cook that night. Yeah. My baby, who's getting the nourishment, and, you know, and Xavier too had some of the meals. So, it was just beautiful. Yeah. And it was just that lovely feeling of being supported with these, you know, the love language of food kind of thing. Like,
it's huge, isn't it? Like, just to receive a beautiful home cooked meal that someone made for you. That's just filled with love. Like, I don't know, you can't beat that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I definitely like this, my first birth and pregnancy were amazing, you know, and I wouldn't have done anything differently, but this second time around, like, I definitely, you know, kind of thought of myself a bit more and put myself,
made you priority.
Yeah, and did kind of everything that I wanted to do, and there was no real guilt in that sense. Like, I don't know, I was just like, you know what, like, I know that this is, you know, this is our baby, you know, with Chris, and, you know, others will care for this baby, but, you know, it is my baby and it's my body, and I'm going to kind of do it the way that I want to do it. Yeah. So, so it was just great. Like, you know, even with my blessing way, just only having certain people there that I wanted there, like, I had no guilt about not inviting, you know, other friends or family. Like, it was just the way that I wanted, and it was just awesome. And having those meals were just so great.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, and you know, and just I actually still have some friends that still haven't met her, and she's 3 months old now.
Really? Wow.
But I know there's just no guilt about it. It's like, you know, they'll meet her eventually, and you know, it's fine.
No rush. It's still in your like newborn bubble anyway. So it's just nice.
Yeah. But just with also Melina just did like a newborn check on her, and like she did find some clicky hips.
Okay,
So she did end up having hip dysplasia, and that was due to her being breech late in the pregnancy.
Yes,
Yeah, so that, again, I just didn't know anything about that before. That was a whole kind of new bit of education for me as well. So but she's doing really well, and we ended up going to a private doctor, and she was in a brace, you know, full term for 6 weeks. And now she's at the point where she only has to wear it for her night sleeps.
Amazing.
So like her hips are developing really well now, and she's on the right track. So I just thought I'd add that in.
Yeah, that's really important, because I hadn't heard of it either until you told me. And then, isn't there like newborn clothing you can buy for, you know, babies that have that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, again, like I had never heard of hip dysplasia, but I did the old hashtag search in Instagram, and there's all these beautiful specially made clothes for little hippie, they call them hippie babies. I thought that was really cute too. And like I found a few little things that I've been able to use with her, so it's been really good.
And how's your recovery been postpartum?
I think
from first birth.
It's amazing. Like, I was kind of ready to, even the next day, I was like, all right, I'm going to vacuum the lounge room and clean up the house.
Oh, really?
Which is a bit ridiculous. Like, Melina actually said, Tamara, can you just take it easy a bit? But I just felt really good.
Amazing. Like, you would have been on such a high, especially after that empowering birth. You know?
I was just ready to kind of, and it was like kind of after a week of being like that, I was kind of like, all right, it is time to kind of chill out a bit, like calm down, Tamara. But I did also get my placenta encapsulated. So that was under the birch tree.
Yes. That's great.
Yeah.
And so did you do that first time with Xavier's
No,
placenta?
I didn't do that the first time. So
Okay.
this is the first time doing that with her.
And how do you feel like taking? Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, I just had more energy and stuff like that.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and I did have to, I think I told you I did get a bit of mastitis with the breastfeeding, and I did choose to go on antibiotics for that. Yeah. Just because I knew from my first birth that really worked for me. Like, it just fixed the mastitis within, like... Amazing. 10 minutes or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it really does help. Even though I didn't really want to be on antibiotics, but it really did help.
Yeah.
So I just went off the placenta tablets for that.
On that time.
Yeah. And I've actually still.
Do you not take it together?
Well, I did for one day, and I had the worst diarrhea. So just it was me reacting to it. So I just for myself didn't do them together. Yeah. And maybe in the fine print it doesn't really recommend that. Okay. I didn't check. Yeah. But just for me, it just didn't work for my body. So but I've actually still got some tablets left. I'm taking them still. So and I'm feeling good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And lastly, any advice for mamas to be or mums out there? Any words of wisdom that you want to share?
I would just say I felt like this time around I really, like you said, really listened to my intuition, without kind of even trying as well, but probably, I was open to it more, I think, about just listening to my gut and and trusting in myself a lot more. Yeah, and just, really having a vision for my birth and, and then trusting in it and it actually happening.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's a great feeling. And I knew that, if things didn't go to plan, I was prepared for that as well, I was, open to that as well, which I think is really important in accepting. And kind of accepting and kind of going, all right, if things don't work out, this is what's going to happen, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. So, and definitely, just knowing your boundaries as well. With certain people, I kind of had a bit of, just some negative energy from some people with my decision to have a home birth. And, and that's fine. I respected that because, maybe they had
their own trauma,
to deal with, and I know that they just it was through love and care that they were saying those things, but I just learnt to kind of put my boundaries up, and I just didn't want to be around that energy. And it was that was just because I'm definitely in the past I've just liked to keep the peace and be a people pleaser, but just this time around there was just I was actually okay with it. I was I'm okay with that person taking it that way and reading me that way, and I was okay with that. And I was just wanting to focus on my birth, and that was the best thing that I could have done, and for me and my family. So
absolutely.
That's
so powerful. Sounds like you really stepped into your power and just had your birth that you envisioned, and surrounded yourself with like-minded people that were positive, and and it really was having yourself and friends who have had, and I'm not just saying just home births or just even or just having positive births. I had friends who did have traumatic births but were still supportive of me. So it was just a matter of having women who were just 100% with you and excited for you. That's such a good feeling. And it's so, and that was a good lesson as well to learn, for my friends who are pregnant now or giving birth, how to really support them, during the pregnancy and postpartum as well. Whoa, what an eye-opener. I just know that meals are the gateway to the heart, and and of course, I've felt such guilt with, not having supported my friends in the past like that. I'm if I just knew what to do and how to support them. Oh man, even just buying a coffee or
Yes.
Just dropping off a meal, like, goes a long way.
It really does, hey.
Yeah.
And obviously being a second child, like, it definitely has been challenging. You know, and like Xavier did, you know, he had a big adjustment to go with, and, you know, all older siblings have that.
Absolutely.
It is a massive transition for them, so we kind of had to ride that wave for a bit and just support him through it as well. And and I probably, I would also recommend definitely taking some, prioritising your self-care for yourself. Like, I think I didn't do that enough, and I probably need to do more of that now. Just have a bit of like me time. I need to like do more of that for sure. So because I know that mothers just don't put themselves, they struggle to put themselves first. And they really need to. So I know I need to learn to do that more. That's for sure. So
because the energy that you kind of give off, everyone goes with it. You know what I mean? Like the whole family is affected. So if you're happy, then everyone else is happy. Like if your cup is filled, you know, people can feel it, especially the kids and, you know, husbands and stuff. So I agree, like that's so important too. Amazing. So thank you so much for sharing your story, and I'm so proud of you and excited that you had like such a amazing, positive, empowering experience, and also inspiring other mums out there with your amazing birth video. If you haven't checked it out, please go and check it out.
Sorry.